What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics. Today we got a fun one. We got top 10 best songs by terrible bands, brought to us by friend, longtime supporter, and patron of the channel, River. Thank you, River. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out the Patreon link below or the patron link on the Instagram. Run a free trial. Look, I say it every video, and some of you probably just fast forward through it. I get it, but we literally cannot do this channel without the patrons. I'm so thankful for them. Go check out the page. All right. So you clicked on this for one of two reasons, right? You're either a regular watcher of this channel, once again, thank you, or you saw the title and you saw your band's name in that and you're ready, man. You're ready to come in hot. So either way, welcome. So River says, happy April, because I'm putting this up on April Fool's Day if you're watching it when it drops. You already know that. To celebrate, I bring you the best songs by terrible bands, because every artist has to have one good song. Question mark, right? All caps, question mark. Maybe, yeah. So here's how this is going to work, is I'm going to be nicer to those artists lower on the list. I went by artists I either A, genuinely cannot stand, and B, artists I like that I know are, by many objective standards, not good. And I ordered this with bands that I can't stand first. So for those who will not like this list and are fans of these acts in the top half, listen to the bottom half and realize I have bad taste too. Consider this me pantsing myself as we begin. Here's what I'll say about this. I never make fun of people for the music they like. I've said this from the time this channel started 6.5 years ago, 3,300 videos ago. I said this. All music is not for everyone, but all music is for someone. Someone's going to be a fan of this or that, but not everyone's going to like it. So I got bands that I don't like and artists I don't like that I know objectively are talented, of course. I just don't like them. And sometimes it's irrational. Why would I not like them? I don't know. You just like what you like and you don't what you don't. So I'm going to pipe in a little bit on some of these too, but understand, I know River pretty well. They come into the live streams every week. A very good person. So this is not anything for anybody to get hyper upset about. But if you want to get upset, you can in the comments. Why not, right? But just, go into it with that knowing this is going to be a fun exercise and not meant to be malicious on anyone's part. And we'll start it off with number 10, OneRepublic, Counting Stars from the Native album in 2013. River says, generally, this is partly due to benefit of low expectations. OneRepublic is a, all caps, boring band. Boring is the biggest sin to me artistically. Not being badly made, not being badly conceived, but being boring. This is the one song by OneRepublic I don't find boring, and partly the inspiration for this list. I found second single. The song has been one of the band's most successful singles, reaching number 1 in many countries, including Canada and the UK, number 2 in the US, and top 10 in 20 countries. It's sold over 1 million copies in the UK and over 10 million copies in the US. And the video for this song has over 4 billion views on YouTube. So yeah, I think OneRepublic's going to be all right if some of us don't like them. Ryan Tedder stated that this came about in August of 2012 as an idea. It was probably the most versions of any song to get it right. He also called it one of his 2 favorite songs on this album. He started writing it while waiting for Beyonce to turn up to a studio session. In an interview, Tedder said, I had the idea for Counting Stars basically in the summer of 2012 when I was in the Hamptons. I was working in the largest house I'd ever stepped foot in, which was being rented by Jay-Z and Beyonce. I was in the middle of working on my most recent album with OneRepublic, Native, the one this one comes off of. And during that time, I was determined not to work with any other artists. I broke the promise because I also did sessions that year with Beyonce. When Jay-Z and Beyonce invite you to stay with them in the Hamptons, you don't say no. I mean, I probably would, but I get what he's saying. He continued, I was out there for about 5 days, and on the second day I woke up early, and I started combing through the internet searching for stuff that would inspire me for Beyonce. I ended up coming across this weird song that has indigenous folk sound to it that just struck me like lightning. I didn't like the verses or the lyrics, but I loved the feel and movement of it. That ended up inspiring this song. I debated playing it for Beyonce and putting it forward for her album, but it didn't feel like a song she would record. I immediately came up with a chorus idea, went home, and for the next 3 months, finished the album. All right, you haven't been with us before, the music won't be in the video, but it will be at the Vimeo link below. So click on that, follow along with us. I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, River. All right, Counting Stars. It's a really catchy song. It has everything about a song that you could love, and it has everything about a song you could hate because it's so produced, right? And that's what makes it catchy. That's what also could make you hate it. I like it. I've heard it a lot, not as much as somebody who Was listening to the radio on repeat at this time. But Ryan did say, I felt a responsibility to actually write and sing about them, about things that have a level of human gravity to them. If everybody else sings about sex and love and lust and money, then somebody's got to be singing about life and faith and hope and things of that nature. So I got to give him kudos there. And I mean, obviously, man, it's a banging song. Let's get to number 9. Next up at number 9, we got the Eagles, Hotel California, off the album of the same name from 1977. River says, just the most overrated band on earth, or at least one of them, and their most hyped song. I can help it. I'm fine with this track. I won't turn it off for sure when I hear it. Other stuff though, no, please. Anything but more Eagles. There's a lot of Eagles fans in this world. I mean, they had the number 1 selling album of the 70s. They're huge, they're gigantic. They're one of the most successful bands of all time. So you're probably thinking River is absolutely crazy. I could totally see that. However, I could not agree anymore in this world with what River just said. If you watch his channel a lot, I cannot stand the Eagles. I cannot stand them. I hate this song. Now, objectively, this is a really good song. And obviously, they're a really talented band and they got some bangers. I just can't stand them. I told you. We have a full album review of this album up that Trey did along with my wife, Gina, way back, right at the start of the channel 6 years ago. You can go check that out after this. It's well done. I mean, this album is good. I'm just telling you, my irrationality hits deep here. This is going to be 6.5 minutes of what you guys think is a great song. And what I think is, you just got to get through it, Sean. So that out of the way, a little bit about the song. Written by Don Felder, the music. Don Henley and Glenn Fry, of course, the lyrics, featuring Henley on lead vocals, including with the 2-minute and 12-second long electric guitar solo performed by Felder and Walsh, which is just fantastic, in which they take turns playing the lead before harmonizing and playing together towards the fade out. A lot of people have called it one of the greatest guitar solos of all time. 1 in US and Canada, 8 in the UK. Now, what is this song about? Who the heck knows, right? It won the Grammy for Record of the Year in 78 against a loaded field. Don Henley's even said several things about what it's about. He said it was a journey from innocence to experience. That's all. He said it was about life in LA. A lot of people think it's about drugs. He said it wasn't. Who knows, man? Rolling Stone ranked this number 311 on his 500 greatest songs of all time. Apparently, they only thought there was 311 songs ever made. Am I right? No, I'm just joking. Sort of. It was named one of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. I'm ready for this. Come with me in those comments down below. I get it. I can take it. Let's go. All right, Hotel California. I mean, like I told you, I don't like this song. It's an absolute banger. I get it. Like from the start of it, it's one of the most famous songs of all time. The second you hear that guitar hit, you know exactly what the song is. The guitar at the end are fantastic. Henley's voice fits his song so well because it's a darker song. Like, it just fits it so well. So, I mean, I get that it's a great song. All right, next up, we got Can't Stop from the Red Hot Chili Peppers from the By the Way album in 2002. River says, Chili Peppers fell off. I used to like some songs, but as I realized what the band was really doing in a lot of albums, I could not get down with it. Danny California might be one of the worst songs I've heard, and that's saying something. But Can't Stop does have a pretty good beat and vibe, so I can get down with it. I found it was the 3rd single, became their 8th number 1 on the US Billboard Modern Tracks chart, reached 57 on the Hot 100. Lyrically, it's an example of the band's occasional use of writing lyrics to an established rhythm rather than rhythm to establish lyrics. Throughout the track, Anthony Kiedis highlights the predominant theme of nurturing an interpersonal energy. He addresses the verses to the listener in an instructional tone whilst referencing inspirational figures such as Julia, Butterfly Hill, Charlie Parker, and Defunct. Now, I went on pretty hard on the Eagles, but you Eagles fans, you can take a deep breath, because if you told me I could listen to 1,000 hours in a row of the Eagles or 10 hours in a row of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I would choose the Eagles 100 times over. So there is that. Look, I alluded to the start. I cannot stand the Chili Peppers. I hate the sound, but I get how they're influential. And look, I'm a minority. Like, I'm not making fun of you if you're a fan. There's a million more of you than there is of me. The guitar work is absolutely fantastic. Right? The guitar work is just so good. The change up from the verses to the chorus and how that sticks in your head, it's all wonderfully done. The lyrics are absolute nonsense, and most of them are for Chili Pepper songs. That's fine, but I mean, they're just, if you ever read them, you're just like, wait, what? But you know, I mean, I get it, man. I get why people my wife loves the Red Hot Chili Peppers. She does. She loves them. I get why you could love them. They're just absolutely not for me. Next up, we got the easiest pick on here for most of you. We got Nickelback, Rockstar, from All the Right Reasons in 2005. River says, I cannot stand most of what I and others describe as douchebag rock, butt rock, or what can qualify as 2000s hard rock. Nickelback is the quintessential overplayed and overhated band, but I genuinely can't stand them. But Rockstar is at least a funny song. I'll give Nickelback this. The excess this song describes are so obviously silly and not something anyone really want when it comes down to it, that the song gets to be a little charming, even if Chad Kroeger's voice is not something I care to listen to. But when he's not being overly serious, he's something I can put up with. I found the fifth single. The lyrics, feature the hopes of someone who desires to be a rock star. ZZ Top's Billy Gibbons comes in there with the spoken word stuff. It's one of the most popular songs, peaking at 2 in the UK, their highest charting in that country, and sold 4.5 million copies in the US. Now I'm going to seem hypocritical here because I'm cutting down the Red Hot Chili Peppers and the Eagles. Nickelback takes more hate than anybody I have ever seen, just about, and I don't really get it. And here's why, because I lived through all this. I'm a lot older than River. Somebody like Nickelback, because they were wildly successful. There's a Netflix documentary on Nickelback that's really fascinating. If you hate them, you should watch it and see what these guys went through. And I know you're going to say, they got filthy rich through it, so who cares? Still wouldn't be fun to live through this for really no reason. So their most ridiculous song is Photograph. You can watch that video and just be like, what is going on here? But I don't think they're untalented by any means, but I'm the minority there. It's funny, huh? I don't like the Eagles and the Chili Peppers. They're beloved. I don't know if I'd say I like Nickelback, but Nickelback's fine. I guess you could say I like Nickelback. I never listened to them on my own or anything, but I like some of their songs back in the day, and everybody hates them. So I guess I'm on the opposite side of everything. Rockstar, catchy. I can see why people loved it. I can also see why people hated it when you listen to it in this environment. It's way different, man, when you read lyrics and you're just like, you're zoned in, right? You're in the headphones. There's nothing else distracting me, right? I'm just focused on the music. You really look at music differently in songs that you either really loved or really hated at times. I could see both on this. Like, the lyrics are ridiculous. The lyrics on the Chili Peppers were ridiculous on purpose. They wrote them that way just so they fit in with the rhythm. The lyrics on this are supposed to be, but there's a lot of them, and just having Billy Gibbons in here in the parts he comes in sometimes. I don't know, man, but I could see why, like I said, I can see why people loved it. I can see why people hated it. Very, very produced. All right, next up at number 6, we have the most successful duo of all time. We got Hall & Oates, Out of Touch, from the Big Bang Boom album in 1984. River said, I just don't get the appeal of Hall & Oates. Is it just that boring music is fun for some people? How? It's like I'm listening to the equivalent of musical opiates. This is the only song of theirs I even slightly like. I found it was the lead single. It was their last song to top the Billboard Hot 100. According to John Oates, he came up with a chorus while randomly playing around with a synthesizer that he didn't know how to use. He thought it could be a song for the stylists, having a Philly sound, but in the studio the next day, a co-producer told him it should be a hit for Hall & Oates themselves. Oates and Hall then co-wrote the verse. In 1984, I was 13 years old. This is also probably my favorite Hall & Oates song. So I didn't live through their peak. I did, but I wasn't totally into music. I don't get their music either. I'm not a fan of them at all. There are some of their stuff I like. I even like a couple things that Daryl did when he went solo. So I'm not like a hater on them. It's just not my kind of music. But, it's quintessential 70s music in a lot of ways, the chilled out stuff. But I like this song. I have a feeling now this song might sound really dated because this is definitely going to be the sound of 1984. I can tell you that right now. I haven't heard it probably since 1984, 85. But I've got it in my head, and it's what was hot then. All right, Out of Touch. It's everything I remembered it being. It's very dated, with the sense and just that sound. It's well produced. Drum machine, no drums. A lot of drummers were put out of work in the 80s, boys and girls, because of the drum machine. Yet, for me, this song's still a banger, man. And Daryl Hall is a really, really good singer. So like I said, I don't know if you'd say dislike, I guess, apathy towards Hall & Oates is just simply, I didn't like some of their songs, like song Man Eater, for example. I hate that song with a passion, but they got other really good songs. So I'm just kind of agnostic on Hall & Oates, but I do wish they would reconcile. They're older gentlemen, and they spent so many years together. Like I said, chart-wise, they're the most successful duo of all time. You don't want to see guys go out of this world on bad terms of that. It's just kind of, kind of regretful. All right, another band that doesn't surprise me, I see on here. Number 5, we got Train, 50 Ways to Say Goodbye, from the California 37 album in 2012. River says, I cannot stand Train. This is barely an entry. I will not justify the existence of this band. Oh, River is channeling my feeling. Your feelings on the Eagles is likely less angry than mine are around Train. Drops of Jupiter annoys me. I actually appreciate Pat Monahan's vocal performance on that song. I despise Hey Soul Sister, but 50 Ways to Say Goodbye is the only tolerable song by them I can hear and not immediately turn off. In the words of Pat Finnerty's series, what makes this song stink? Stop the Train. I found second single 20 in the US, but was triple platinum. So it sold 3 million copies, 17 in Canada, 50 in the UK. The lyrics are a tongue-in-cheek narrative where, to save face, the singer claims he will say his girlfriend died in a variety of outlandish ways, rather than admit he was dumped by her. The title is a reference to Paul Simon's 1975 classic, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Singer Pat Monahan said the song was just a gag about a girl breaking up with a boy and just being so immature that the only way to handle it was just to tell your friends that she's dead. And it was the original title was something like 50 Ways to Kill Your Lover or something, but they were like, you guys can't name it that. But I don't mind Train, but I can see why people would, right? It's the same thing as Nickelback in a lot of ways for me, but, I get it. 50 Ways to Say Goodbye. A funny song, man, if you're reading the lyrics, and really well done. Another song that's incredibly well produced, so I could see both sides. I'd never heard the song. I liked it, man. I thought it was good, but a good choice for number 5. Next up, number 4, we got Imagine Dragons, Enemy featuring J.I.D. River said, I didn't want to do stuff with featured artists I like, hence the choice for number 2, which we'll get to. But I really can't deny Enemy by Imagine Dragons. It's really good. And while I could put Take Me to the Beach here as well, as a Doe as a featured artist on that, I can't really justify putting that up as that song is entirely saved by the feature. Imagine Dragons is a band that is too hype on too many songs. Not every song needs the energy they bring on a track, and it honestly makes a lot of their music not great. But I do like a lot of their songs, and at the end of the day, this song, I think, is just genuinely good on their part. It was released in October of 2021 as the lead single of the soundtrack to the Netflix animated series Arcane, to which it serves as the opening theme. Canada and US went to 5, UK 17. J.I.D. is a legend, incredibly humble and talented. We are friends with many of the Riot folks and often speak with each other about projects we're working on. They showed us an early cut of Arcane and asked if we wanted to work on a song for it. Easy answer, yes, yes, yes. And then we wrote the song a week later, and this was years ago, and now it's finally out. That was Dan Reynolds, the frontman of Imagine Dragons, who I'll address in just a minute. In a press release, also, Dan explained, Enemy is about reconciling internal conflict in a world where it feels impossible to trust even yourself. In Arcane, 2 sisters' lives take them on different paths and leads to a division that threatens to tear an entire city apart. Like the series, the song is meant to be both personal and a critique of a society that seems intent on creating division. Here's what I'll say about Dan Reynolds, the leader of Imagine Dragons. He has ankylosing spondylitis, AS, which is an autoimmune disease that attacks your spine. Eventually, you have to get your back fused. It's life-changing. We have a good friend of mine that's been with our channel forever as a patron and just a friend of the channel has this. It's a horrible thing. He also has UC, which is a digestive deal. That's a horrible thing. He's had that since he was 21. So while I don't always jive with their music, I don't know a ton of their music. I mean, Radioactive is one of the biggest rock songs of all time. It was on the Billboard Hot 100 for 87 weeks, which was a record until The Weeknd's Blinding Lights took it over. But I never say anything bad about them because I have rheumatoid arthritis, and it's almost 18 years now, and I'm in pain every single day of my life. I'm not asking for sympathy. I can function quite well with it. I'm very blessed and very lucky. But for him to do everything he does, tour, do all this stuff, and not have one horrible autoimmune disease, but 2, which I kind of also have 2, because not to get off on a tangent, but once you have one autoimmune disease, you're 5 times more likely to get a second one than a normal person is to get one at all. So it's kind of like the gift that keeps on giving. So I actually have 3, but the RA's the worst one of them. So for him to go out and do all these things is freaking amazing. So I don't ever say a bad word about Imagine Dragons for that reason. It's more a personal reason for me, the respect I have, understanding not how it is to walk with what Dan has, but how to walk with what I have. We're kind of kindred spirits in pain, as I know a ton of you out there are. Okay, enough on that, but I just kind of had to tell you where I was coming from. I don't know this song, so let's check it out. Enemy, that was a really good song. I mean, it had the Imagine Dragons sound to it, like what I know their sound to be, but J.I.D. also brought a fantastic verse on there. Just great flow there. That was a really good song, man. I enjoyed it. Next up at number 3, we got The Offspring. You're Gonna Go Far, Kid, from the Rise and Fall, Rage and Grace album in 2008. River says the fact that the same band that wrote Pretty Fly for a White Guy and Why Don't You Get a Job wrote this song feels incredibly confusing to me. But as someone who was into pop punk when I was a teenager, I can't deny I vibe with this. Second single peaked at 1 on the Hot Modern Rock chart, 25 in Canada, 63 in US on the Hot 100. I don't know much Offspring. What I do know of it, I don't really care for them, but I don't know much of them, so I couldn't speak to them. All right, You're Gonna Go Far, Kid. That was fantastic. I mean, River said they liked some pop punk as teenagers. I still like pop punk. That was really good. Every part about that song was good. Dance, blank, this song was fire, man. It really was fire. All right, number 2. Limp Bizkit, Break Stuff, from the Significant Other album in 1999. River says everyone makes fun of these guys, and understandably. They're the bottom of the barrel of the new metal scene, and generally some of their music is painful. I don't think there's a worse cover of any song than their cover of Behind Blue Eyes, but I do think this song is pretty hype. I'd have originally selected Rollin', the Urban Assault Vehicle, the remix with Redman, Method Man, and DMX, but I'd have, like with Imagine Dragons, been putting up a track where the feature saves this track. So instead I go for this. Look, man, I couldn't stand Limp Bizkit back in the day. They had a lot of big hits. I mean, they were super successful. I couldn't stand Fred Durst, but I don't think he probably cared. They were wildly successful. The guy as a human being just seemed like a piece of trash. Now, that was then. He could totally be different now. People change. 4th single, noted for a performance at Woodstock 99 in which violent actions occurred. Go watch some of those docs. When the song played, Fred Durst encouraged the crowd to become rowdy, stating, "Don't want anybody to get hurt, but I don't think you should mellow out." That's what Alanis Morissette had UMFers do. If someone falls, pick them up. In the mosh pits, fans tore plywood on the walls when the song played, and numerous sexual assaults were reported to have occurred. During the band's 2001 appearance at the Big Day Out Festival in Sydney, Australia, teenager Jessica Milichik was crushed by the unruly crowd into the front of the stage before dying from her injuries. It's that kind of stuff. The video for the song won the MTV Music Award for Best Rock Video in 2000. In 2022, Louder Sound and Kerrang! Each named this as Limp Bizkit's greatest song. It's not a tough race to the top, but they did have some good songs, man. I mean, they did. Break Stuff. I can see why people like this. Nice change up in there. It's one of those things where, I think just because it's coming from Fred and, fake tough guys who just talk all this noise that you better get away. It's like real life. You've been around this earth long enough, you might have encountered some guys that like to just run their mouths, how tough they are. But you know what? When it all comes down to it, they're the ones picking themselves off the floor because they just talk all this stuff. I always hated talkers. I never talk. You just don't talk. Like, this is what I get from Fred. This is fake tough boy. You better watch out. But, I can see why people like this song. All right. At number 1, we got Insane Clown Posse, Halls of Illusion, from the Great Malenko album in 1997. River says, what band is more of a joke than Insane Clown Posse? The name alone is almost a parody. But here's the big joke. I like Insane Clown Posse. I unironically love this band. I put it on purpose. I enjoy this. And I won't call it a guilty pleasure. I don't believe in guilty pleasures. If you like something, say it with your chest. Cringe is dead, and I'm still standing. So with that, I give you a song that works for the whole theme of the band. This cut from their album, The Great Malenko, sets up the idea of the dark carnival's illusionist, the Great Malenko, who shows the illusion of a good thing before tearing away the illusion to show the reality of the evil people who take a walk through the Hall of Illusions. This shows the concept that ICP sets up. Wicked clowns traveling and punishing people wasn't such a terrible idea for a band. I found its lead single went to 56 in the UK. Also, just from different interviews, I'm just kind of summarizing, so I won't really quote one interview. I'll just paraphrase. The song shows their hate towards child abuse and domestic violence and the damage their victims suffer. The lyrics speak about child abusers and woman beaters who take a hellish amusement park ride representing a fun house to reflect upon their actions. They are shown the consequences of their ways as they pass through the Hall of Illusions. These illusions show what their lives could have been if they had chosen not to inflict violence and pain upon their families who have been destroyed by the abuse. Growing up in a house that had this stuff, thanks to my dear old dad, it's a great idea for a song, man. Let's go get him. To my knowledge, I've never heard a song from Insane Clown Posse, but let's get it. Number 1 on River's list, Halls of Illusions. Got that certain style that I can also see why people just don't care for this type of music. Look, I thought it was catchy, and I was really vibing with the lyrics. I don't want to take what's just a fun top 10 and take it down a dark road, so I won't say how I identified with this song. And But when you grow up in that, like, it shapes you as you get older. You're either going to become that or you're going to become the opposite of that. Thankfully, I was able to become the opposite of that. But, you have the fantasy in your head for a long time. I had it into my mid 30s of getting a hold of that person who had done, you know, brought physical harm to you. And I just never did it. And I was finally able to let it go kind of once I found my faith. But, I was always afraid if I got a hold of him, I'd kill him, like, straight up. So, yeah, so I just did take it down a dark road, but I could have taken it way deeper. So let's get over that and go to my favorite tracks. I mean, really, basically, all these songs were good. I mean, that's the idea, right? They're good songs by bad artists. Honorable mention, OneRepublic, Counting Stars, Hall & Oates, Out of Touch. Faves, Train, 50 Ways to Say Goodbye. See, I've never heard that song, though. I wonder if that's why it's a fave. Same thing with Imagine Dragons, Enemy, featuring J.I.D. And The Offspring, You're Gonna Go Far, Kid, and Insane Clown Posse, Halls of Illusion. So yeah, it's interesting as I reflect on it. My four faves, which are 5, 4, 3, and 1, I'd never heard before. But good songs, but like I said, and I mean, honestly, if you want to sit here, Hotel California may be the best song on here. So I recognize all that. Thanks to River for putting this fun list together. I know they were working on it for a very long time. It's all in good fun. Let me know what you think of this down below. Also, tell me good songs by bad artists. You're probably going to hit on one of my favorite artists and offend me. Just look behind me. You can see who some of my favorite artists are. All right. Thanks again to River. And until next time, guys, I will see you.